The train whistle screamed and every head on the platform turned, but Jacob Hale did not move. His boots stayed planted in the dust. His jaw stayed tight. 2 years now, and still the sound of a train made his stomach drop, like it might carry bad news the way it once did. Smoke rolled across the platform. The train slowed, hissed, and stopped. Doors banged open. Passengers stepped down, one by one. A fat man in a black suit, 2 boys chasing a dog, an old woman with a birdcage. Then Jacob saw her. A woman in a plain gray dress. No lace. No ribbons. Her hair was pulled back so tight it looked painful. She carried one small bag and she held it like her life was inside it. She walked straight toward him, no hesitation, no shy little glance around. That surprised him. Most women who came off that train looked scared or looked around for someone finer than a dusty rancher. She just looked at him. "Mr. Hale," she said. Her voice was flat, steady, like she'd already decided nothing would shake her. "That's me," Jacob said. "You must be Martha." She nodded once, that was all. Then, without waiting for him to offer his arm, without waiting for a kind word, she reached down, picked up her own bag before he could touch it, and walked toward the wagon herself. A man nearby laughed under his breath. "Plain little thing," he muttered to his friend. "Bet she can't cook worth a lick." Martha did not turn around. She did not blush. She kept walking, chin up, like she hadn't heard a word. Jacob stood there a moment, watching her back. Something about the way she carried that bag, like a soldier carrying a rifle, made him think this woman was not what she seemed. He didn't know yet how right he was. The days settled into a pattern. Martha rose before the sun when the sky was still gray. She built the fire, boiled water, cooked beans without being told twice. She swept the floor until it shone. She mended Jacob's torn shirts with tiny, careful stitches. She never once complained, not about the heat, not about the dust that crept under every door. Jacob watched her from the corner of his eye, trying to understand her. She was not cold, but she was not warm either. She simply worked, like a woman who had carried heavy things before and no longer expected life to be gentle. One evening he found her sitting alone outside, watching the sun sink behind the hills. Her eyes looked far away, fixed on something he could not see. "You all right?" he asked. "Yes," she said softly, "just thinking." "About what?" She paused too long before answering. "The past." Jacob did not push. He had his own past he kept locked away too, but he noticed things, small things. She flinched when a door slammed too hard. Her eyes snapped toward every sound of hooves on the road, then softened only when nothing came. And beneath her side of the bed sat a small wooden box, always locked, its key nowhere he could find. He noticed how her gaze lingered longest on the road leading up to the ranch, not with hope, but with something closer to dread, as if she were counting the days until someone found her. He said nothing, he asked nothing. But each day, watching her quiet strength, Jacob felt something shift inside him, something he had not expected and could not yet name. And each day Martha kept watching that road, waiting for a danger only she could see coming. Dust rose on the horizon, thin at first, then thick and fast. A rider was coming, and he was not coming slow. Martha stepped out from the house, wiping flour from her hands. She looked up and her whole body went still. Her face turned the color of ash. The apron slipped from her fingers. "Martha," Jacob said, watching her, "you know that rider?" She said nothing. Her eyes stayed fixed on the road, wide and unblinking, like a rabbit that had spotted a hawk. The horse thundered closer, kicking up dust behind it. The rider pulled hard on the reins near the fence, and his tired horse skidded to a stop. He was rough-looking, dusty coat, hard eyes, a gun sitting low on his hip. He stared straight past Jacob, straight at Martha. "Well, well," he said, his voice low and cold. "Been looking for you a long time, Martha Cole." He paused, and his mouth curled into something like a smile. "Or should I say, Martha Doyle?" Jacob's chest went tight. Doyle, what's he talking about? Martha's hands began to shake. Tears filled her eyes, but her feet did not move an inch. She stood tall, even as fear cracked her voice. "He's my brother," she whispered. "My first husband's brother." The writer's smile grew sharper. "That's right, and she's got a debt that didn't die with him." Jacob stepped forward, placing his body between Martha and the horse. "She's my wife now. Whatever debt you're talking about, it's not welcome on this land." The man's eyes narrowed to slits. "That ain't your call, rancher." The wind dropped. Not a bird sang, not a leaf moved. The whole ranch seemed to hold its breath, waiting to see what would happen next. Jacob did not know the full truth yet, but he knew one thing. Martha's past had finally found her. That night, after the writer rode off with a warning, Martha finally spoke the truth. Her first husband, Thomas Doyle, had been a cruel man, a gambler who beat her and buried her under debts that were never hers to carry. When he died in a bar fight, his brother Silas came hunting for money that did not exist. She had run, changed her name, and answered a stranger's marriage letter, praying for a safe place to hide. "I didn't want to lie to you," she said, her voice breaking. "I was scared you'd send me away." Jacob took her shaking hands in his. "You didn't choose your past," he said, "but you chose to survive it. That's enough for me." 2 days later, Silas returned. This time he brought 2 more men, expecting an easy fight. But Jacob knew this land better than any stranger ever could. Every rock, every trail, every place a man could hide and wait. He sent his fastest hand riding hard for the sheriff. Then he and Martha took their places near the canyon pass, an old rifle steady in her hands, a rifle that had once belonged to the husband who hurt her, now turned toward the man who hunted her. Shots cracked through the dry air. Dust and smoke rose. Fear and courage crashed together under the wide sky. When it ended, Silas lay wounded in the dirt, and the sheriff arrived just in time to drag him away in chains. Jacob turned to Martha. Dirt streaked her plain, quiet face, and tears still clung to her eyes, but for the first time those eyes were calm. "It's over," he said softly. Martha leaned into him, her voice barely a whisper. "No," she said, "it's just beginning." And under that wide Wyoming sky, a marriage born from need had become something neither of them ever expected to find. A bond built not on romance, but on truth, courage, and quiet, unbreakable trust.